Taming. A process of obtaining the creatures in ARK you need to do before you can call them your very own. And whilst most creatures require a simple arrow to the knee, or preferably head to knock out, there's a few out there that require much more complex head-scratching techniques to claim. But which ones are the hardest tames? You're right kids, it's Raasclark, and this is indeed a top 10 of the hardest tames in ARK, as voted by you. Before we begin, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, share around, and let's get into it. So in at number 10 is the Astrocetus. Found on Gen 1 and 2, the space whale can certainly be a nightmare if looking to tame efficiently, requiring a tech hover skiff and cannons, needing a headshot initiating a reactive animation when hit correctly, all the whilst avoiding its attacks. However, lining up a shot can take some practice, but once mastered certainly shouldn't cause too much worry. Alternatively, a mech with an MSCM module can make it a breeze to take down, unfortunately lowering the taming efficiency in the process. Whilst there are other options to tackle it, such as rockets or a static cannon, it's certainly apparent in order to take one down you'll need to have unlocked some of ARK's tech engrams, should you want one, and therefore making it just about a worthy entry into the top 10. In at number 9, the Shadowmane. Having experienced this, I can completely agree the Lionfish lion is a real pain to tame, at least efficiently. Found on Gen 2, they require the most painstaking resource to be fed, live fish caught in fish baskets, but not just any fish. The better the weight, the more affinity you'll tame one by, and to get the best one possible you'll need fish of weight 2.0 or over. A long and laborious grind to find and catch. Though now there's some great raft designs to help you out, finding them will still be a pain. Then of course you've got the trials and tribulations of feeding them to a required sleepy Shadowmane, which only sleep in the day, usually surrounded by other warp speed attack dogs and very easily disturbed if you're not careful. Traps are still being developed even now to get the perfect design, but always make sure to wear ghillie, bug repellent and stay clear of their heads, as well as keeping your distance between each feed and hoping nothing startles them during the process. In at number 8, the Reaper. An understanding but disagreeable entry in my opinion, but let's understand why first. To tame the xenomorph normally, you'll need a light pet, something that can deal big damage and most certainly a trap, and depending on the map you're doing it on, has a gear and a lot of patience as you lead them to some false safety. Once trapped, you'll then need to drop them to below 2k health, something you can easily pass and kill if you're not careful before turning off your light pet, ensuring it emits a cheeky pink glow and timing yourself to stand clear in front of a queen to get impregnated. And then of course you may need a birthing chamber and Reaper glands, gained from slain Reapers, to ensure your Reaper baby grows up safely. However, it's entirely possible to overlook all of that and make it your very first tame if on Gen 2, of which I have a guide requiring you to lure it to the acidic rivers of Rockwell's innards, allowing that to damage it, and then once impregnated, prepare yourself loaded up with lots of raw meat and wait for your baby xenomorph to auto harvest off you, and be locked in one place with no need to feed further and an easy bagging of your own alien scum. In at number 7, the Troodon. By far perhaps the most hated to tame on this list, owed to its requirements and frustrating process to bag a sleepy servicer, as in order to tame one you'll need to allow them to kill your tamed creatures, with them on neutral and unridden, and the higher the level Troodon, the higher the level tame and most valuable ones you'll need to sacrifice, with a level 43 or above Giga being your most efficient for a 150 Troodon. Unless you're far enough into the game that you're mass breeding gigas, you'll likely opt out of that option, with my recommended tames being those throwaway wyverns you'll never really claim for yourself. With Troodons needing to kill your creatures, you'll want to offer them babies for ease, and because of that you'll need a trap with a ramp and near a place you can hatch your baby creatures, and ensuring the Troodons will attack your tames, sometimes a real pain to initiate as you'll most likely need to aggro one to yourself in order for it to attack and kill. The only joy once accomplished is you're always guaranteed 100% timing effectiveness, allowing you to bag a decent torpor inflicting friend. In at number 6, the Void Worm. No, I take it back, this is my most hated tame, though it's much easier nowadays since recent patch fixes, but even so, in order to tame a tech wyvern you'll need the most rarest resource in ARK, mutagen, found rarely harvestable within Rockwell's innards on Gen 2, or crafted from mutagel that can be farmed in the same place, or better yet on the asteroid spawns that rotate resource within the space void, hopefully rolling you a good day of mutagel mining. And once you've amassed a lot, you're then required to reduce a void worm's health to a fraction, similar to a Reaper, initiated by it stopping for a brief moment with blue thruster fire blasting from its body. At this point, it's time to saddle up and ride it like sea bass, very similar to Equus taming. Just keep an eye out for that message pop up to feed instead of its barrel roll animation. By far easier said than done, but keep your cool and you'll bag the latest ARK Draconis in no time. In at number 5, the Mega Shalon. A surprising entry in my opinion, or perhaps I've been lucky, but there's certainly some caveats to note when taming the giant turtle. Found on Gen 1, you'll need to find not only a high level, but then take a deep dive into the ocean depths to find yourself a microbe swarm, sometimes a challenge to find, and then needed to aggro on you and lure towards your turtle, making sure the distance is close enough to aggro but not too close to die, all the whilst keeping an eye out for any pesky sharks. But once lured to your Shalon of choice, simply move out of the way and let the swarm do their thing to eventually tame your turtle. Just make sure they're targeting you and not the tame you may be riding, or you'll find out they'll bug out almost every time. In at number 4, the Noglin. Similar to the Troodon, the brain slug requires a sacrificial process to bag one, but certainly in a more complex system, and that's before we look at the near impossibility of just finding one. In order to tame one efficiently, you'll need to allow it to mind control your tames, but not just any tame, as certain ones offer improved affinity, up to 20% per tame if using a Bronto, or Void Worm if you really want to. That not only need to be above level 200 tamed if going for a 150 Noglin, but must be unique, brand new tames and not bred creatures. Combined with a frustratingly difficult wild to herd around, requiring a big open space to tame correctly makes it a long process to achieve something that can't even be bred or cloned, but arguably a great trophy for any player. In at number 3, the Ice Titan. One of the 3 giants offered as a temporary tame on extinction, the Ice variant comes in higher, perhaps owed to its desire but increased difficulty to nurture against the others, as it's by far the most mobile and ferocious of the 3, dealing heavy damage if not careful. Overlooking the requirements of summoning one, a grind in itself, you'll be tasked with attacking the corruption nodes on its right ankle, right shoulder and chest in a designated sequence, ensuring you hit them and only them if looking to tame out an alpha tier. Damaging it too much will leave you with a much weaker beta or gamma variant, which no one wants, so ensuring you've got the right firepower is key. Thankfully there is a solution to taking these home: mechs, and especially wielding an MSCM module for ease. High damage tech bows can come in handy too, though accuracy and agility will play a huge part as you float around this behemoth, inflicting the hits you need, and with some patience can definitely be done. In at number 2, the Titanosaur. A fond memory for me, an agreeable one for the list, owed to likely the most expensive tame in the top 10, requiring a wealth of cannonballs and most definitely a quetz. Requiring a lot of patience, timing and again cannonballs, you're tasked with shooting them at its head, ensuring a hit responded with an animation, which is a gauntlet, as not only does it constantly move around when you least expect it, inflict no timing effectiveness and only damage if stuck or not moving, and it being ready and willing to destroy your structures with ease. Though from experience it has to be said, it's entirely possible to tame solo on a quetz, or maybe even a mech and cannon shells if you really wanted, but it has to be said it costs a lot of time and resource for something that sadly is temporary and not as tanky as you'd expect. And before we get to number 1, let's just have a quick special mention to the creatures that didn't just make the cut. So here it is in at number 1, the Phoenix, winning by an incredible milestone. It's hard to disagree, at least finding one is one of the hardest challenges in ARK, or so it seems, as it will only appear during heat waves on Scorched Earth, offering you a very limited time to find one, and then within that space of time tame it by inflicting fire damage on it, with the limited sources that can, before the heat wave ends and it reduces to ash, not to be seen again until the next heat wave. Fortunately for you, where it leaves its ashes, it stands and will stand until the next hot day, allowing you to prepare a trap, mind you a very high trap, to catch it when it respawns and deal that fire damage. Luckily, there's a great trick to help you find one before a heat wave. The Parasaur, with its unique detecting abilities, is able to tell you where a Phoenix is on the map, allowing you at least some advantage and less waiting around. With some argument over what deals the best fire damage for taming affinity, but a fantastic, almost foolproof way to tame one is via Nublit's method, simply requiring a few stone structures, a bunch of oil jars and a torch, bagging yourself one of the rarest creatures in ARK. And that's it. That completes the list. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, comment below, let me know. What more top 10s would you like to see in the future? My name's Raasclark. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And as always, peace out.